Hello and welcome to the latest in the series of podcasts from Neurodiversity in Business. We call this series Neurodiverse Voices because what we want to do is talk about the topic more holistically than just in the business world. And I'm super thrilled today. This is the one I've been waiting for months. We've got Alistair McCrowell here. He's the CEO of McDonald's in the UK and Ireland. And Neurodiversity in Business have a massive number of corporate members, which we're really proud of. But actually, I was so glad to welcome McDonald's recently to the organisation because Neurodiversity in Business is not just about the large financial services organisations and the big tech, etc. It's also across industry. And as everyone knows, McDonald's is a significant employer in the UK and globally. I think in the UK alone, there's 170,000 employees. And as we know, the vast majority of them are under 25. And this is really important for what we're achieving in Neurodiversity in Business, is that actually we want to be supporting those people at their first jobs, their first experience. And Alistair, I know you're really proud of the fact that McDonald's is the first employer for quite a large number of people, isn't it?
That's right, it is. And thanks, Dan, for welcoming me to your podcast, and congratulations on what you're achieving with Neurodiversity in Business. I think you really are making a difference, and it's getting me really excited about what will be achieved. But yes, you're right. We're very proud to be the first job for so many Britons. We believe that we can give people a fantastic start in their careers. Some of them will stay with us and have very long and successful careers. For others, it'll just be a first step along the way. And we welcome both of those.
Absolutely. So I'm sure you'll give a far more eloquent introduction than I just gave you. But maybe if we could kind of start off with, who you are, what you do day to day, and then also just tell us about your personal association with neurodiversity. Because I know for me, my little boy, the Joshy man, we call him, he's 9 years old. He's non-speaking autistic, and that's been my passion to set up NIB. And I believe you have kind of a personal association with this as well.
Yes, that's right. So yes, the role is, as you said, the chief executive of our UK and Ireland business. We've got getting on for 1,500 restaurants, and there's 170,000 people, as you mentioned, employed. Many of those work for our franchisees rather than directly for the company, but clearly every one of them is really important to us. And my role is really just about making sure that we have continued sustained long-term success in the business. And at the heart of that is our people. Nothing's more important to me than making sure that our people feel able to reach their true potential. And if we achieve that, everything else falls into place. Yeah, for me, getting McDonald's involved in neurodiversity in business just made a lot of sense. From a business point of view, I'll come back to that in a minute because it makes a lot of sense there. But from a personal point of view, as you said, I have a strong connection. My 18-year-old was first diagnosed with ASD when they were just around about 4, and ACT has been on their own journey, and I've been on my own journey with it, and it's allowed me to really understand just how much neurodiverse people can contribute to the workplace, and how much potential they've got. But we just need to make sure that we've got the right conditions to achieve that. I've been incredibly proud of AXA. They now come to take their A-levels and have done incredibly well. But I had a moment about 3 years ago. I think Ax was 15, and we were out for a walk, and Ax got really brave and said, "Dad, looking back, I think you didn't want me to be autistic." And that was really, really hard. And I was like, well, no. She said, well, you didn't really let me be autistic. You wanted me to be the same as everybody else. And I was embarrassed. It was hard to hear, but I realised there was a lot of truth in it, that I tried to help AXA be just like everybody else instead of celebrating the unique differences and really helping them make the most of it. I guess one of the most important moments in my life, in just hearing that. I mean, I still can't believe that Ax was that brave to have that conversation with me. I couldn't have done that at the age of 15, but it really made me start thinking differently about what I could do to help my own teenager daughter at that point, but no teenagers. They decided to identify as non-binary, but also the opportunity I've got heading up such a huge business to be able to do something different. And so then when I heard about neurodiversity in business and what you were trying to achieve, it's like, wow, this is perfect. This is the opportunity to springboard, to accelerate, to take it to a new level. I can look into our business and how can we use the fact that we employ 170,000 people, which means automatically there will be hundreds of people who are neurodiverse in our organisation already that I can help achieve their own dreams. It makes me, I'm suddenly aware of how many of those are probably masking their autism so that they don't get discriminated against, perhaps, or feel uncomfortable, or don't have to deal with some of the social anxiety. If I can help them be comfortable to be themselves, wow, what a difference it makes, not just to those people, to our business, but also, we don't just employ a lot of people. We do influence outside of our own business. People look to McDonald's. We serve millions and millions of customers every day. It's a brilliant opportunity for us to help other people understand more, to grow knowledge, to understand just how much can be achieved if we embrace what it takes to really help neurodiverse people be themselves and reach their full potential. So it's just an opportunity to achieve more. It was just such a sensible thing for me for us to join, not just because of my personal connection, but from a business point of view. It can give us real competitive advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, as I said in the introduction, we're so thrilled to have McDonald's as one of our leading members, and across, you talked about the neurodivergent employees, but then also, as we know, it's the potential employees, those people who are being disenfranchised through growing up, through the education system, who would just think, look, I'm not going to apply for a Google or for a McDonald's, etc., because I don't fit in. So it's so powerful that senior business leaders like you are actually raising the flag and saying, no, we are an inclusive organisation. We want applications. So I guess the next topic that we get a lot of queries on is, are you able to change overnight? And my answer to that is over and over, no. These big organisations are huge, they're complicated, they're multinational, there are lots of different priorities. So no one expects McDonald's to immediately transform, but I think the great thing is that you're setting a path now and a strategy. And what's important is also other big organisations look to McDonald's, and you're showing that neurodiversity doesn't sit in the too hard to deal with bucket. So that's really powerful. Just tell me, what are you seeing? Because you're kind of across the industry talking with other CEOs, etc., some of which a fair portion are members of NIB. What are you seeing has changed in the last 2 or 3 years in terms of neurodiversity? It's now being talked about at the top table, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Look, and it goes beyond neurodiversity. I think to start with, increasingly organisations are realising the power that sits with and comes with being a truly diverse and inclusive business. It's finally moved beyond being the right thing to do to people realising it's something that is really good for business. Being able to benefit from people who have different perspectives, being able to see the world in the many different ways that our customers do, that our employees do. That can only help a business get better. You add to that being able to really truly unlock the talent you've got within an organisation, being able to access a broader pool of talent as well, and all of that is being talked about and starts making a difference. But when you get to the specifics around neurodiversity, for me, there's kind of a couple of angles to it, really. First of all, I think it starts with the fact that knowledge, awareness, and understanding has built. Even when Axel was diagnosed 14, 15 years ago, I was given a little book. My wife and I were given a little book. And the first thing it said is, you need to understand your child is autistic. An autistic child will become an autistic adult and will need support for the rest of their life. No, nobody even taught us that. They just gave us that book. And that was somebody who's just been diagnosed as having an autistic child, and that was the level of understanding I was given. Yeah, nobody, other people in the world just knew the word autism. Now, I was scared by what I read on that page. Without that, people were even more scared about what it meant, and they had all these preconceptions. I think the reality is that with the knowledge, with the awareness, with the understanding that's built, and this is where neurodiversity in business really comes in, because we can just accelerate all of those things. Then what's starting to happen is those things that were creating fear about talking about autism, fear about dealing with somebody who's autistic, has started to go from fear to opportunity. People have started realizing that this isn't something to be scared of. This is something to embrace. There's an opportunity to make people feel comfortable and get the best out of them. But more than that, there's an opportunity for mind-blowing accomplishments when you provide the right conditions, to provide the right support to allow neurodiverse people to really succeed and show their enormous potential. And so I think that's what's changed. On the one hand, it's the understanding which has allowed that to unlock. But once that then went from fear to opportunity, businesses start saying, "What? Wow! How do I get a piece of this? How do I really help it?" For me, that's what I've felt. How the conversation has moved on. But it does start with understanding. It does start with an awareness. It starts with knowledge. It starts with people being prepared to have a chat, have a discussion, have a conversation, and to start exploring the potential instead of being afraid of the unknown, I think.
Right. And Alistair, I'm going to steal that phrase from you, if you don't mind. I like what you said. It's the movement from fear to opportunity. And, you know, it's something which McDonald's is aware of, but also lots of big organizations globally. So when we say within neurodiversity that neurodiversity is a competitive advantage, we're not talking about necessarily individuals giving that advantage. What we're saying is that this is about, you get this right for your neurodivergent employees and you get this right for your whole workforce, right? Because what we want, and you alluded to this very eloquently in your introduction, what we want is through the recruitment process and through performance management, etc. We want the conversation not to be a drop-down list. Are you disabled? Are you neurodivergent? What type of condition, etc. We want the conversation from big employers to be, how can I get the best out of you as an employee? What do you need from me as an employer to allow you to deliver your authentic self, to deliver your best performance? So I'm hugely excited and kind of we're empowered, I think, by the fact that organisations like yours, titans globally, are of a similar mind. So that's fantastic.
No, I think it's really, we very much are of a similar mind, and it's really important to me. You're right. We should think about everything. You know, we should all admire neurotypical people's ability to process loads of stimuli all at the same time. That's a good thing to embrace. It's not a bad thing. It's not about not embracing that. It's about understanding the many different forms of diversity that exist. For me, one of the big areas we can really help is people with different educational backgrounds. People come in with a different educational background, and quite often they feel as though they don't have the same right to contribute to the same level, which is absolute nonsense. And again, it's up to us to create the conditions that make people celebrate what they bring to the workplace, no matter what it is. And there are so many forms of diversity. It's not just the definitions we might have used even 5 years ago. And I think it's just important that we find ways of embracing all of those in our business. And look, I can't claim that we've cracked it. As you said, will you solve this overnight? No, we won't. Will we still might do things wrong? Yeah, even though we've got the right intentions, we'll still get it wrong. But we'll get better at it, and we'll talk about it, and we'll keep getting better at it. For me, one of the most important things we've done, which is just to start, was setting up our inclusivity network that operates within the business. Now that celebrates all forms of inclusivity, and it's structured around a regular series of chats. Anybody can dial in, and for an hour we'll talk about a topic. We've talked about neurodiversity in one of them. We'll talk about gender. We'll talk about race. We'll talk about sexual orientation, and it just allows people, on the one hand, to realise that actually it's okay to talk about how I see the world. On the other hand, it allows other people to listen in and just get a better insight about their colleagues, about how they can add to their colleagues' enjoyment and comfort with being in the office. Now, it's a really, really simple thing, and it doesn't change the world overnight, but it starts a movement, and it starts a conversation. And I think that starting a conversation, so many of these areas, we're human beings, and we're afraid to talk about things we don't fully understand. We're afraid to make mistakes. We're afraid to say the wrong thing. And quite often it leads to people saying nothing. When actually my experience is most diverse people would rather you say something, get it wrong with the right intentions, and then be open to having a conversation about how to get that right in the future than they would be neglected, ignored, or pretending that the situation doesn't exist. So yeah, I've been proud about what we've achieved so far with our inclusive network, and I think it's just one of those many pillars that we'll need to put in place over time that will help us become an even better employer.
Great. Well, Alistair, speaking from the perspective of the neurodivergent community, I want to express a real sincere and genuine thank you, because there's such powerful role modeling behaviour here and leadership for McDonald's. And you know, NIB and McDonald's, we are strategic partners and in this alliance together. And as you and I know, this is going to be a multi-year journey. We're gonna get better, and we're going to move faster. And we do have some exciting news to announce at some point around that partnership, but we'll wait for the next podcast to do that. So Alistair, again, thank you for being so generous with your time, and thank you for having McDonald's as a leader within the NIB community.
No, look, it's our absolute pleasure, Dan. And look, thank you for what you've set up and what you're doing as neurodiversity in business. Yeah, as a huge organisation, you will give us the ability to learn and to grow. You help us on that path. You'll help us attract more neurodiverse people as we understand more about what we can do. And in return, I'm passionate about helping more people realise their dreams. And if you don't mind, I'll finish just with one really personal story about how I've seen this come to life in the employment space for my teenager. They went for their first job at 16 or so, but were very nervous, as you can imagine. It was in a small food service provider, and they got the role and got really brave. And the day before, contacted the manager and said, I just want to let you know I'm autistic, and could we have 15 minutes before the shift start? Don't be afraid, but I just want to explain to you what will what helps make me more successful. And I said, yeah, of course I will. And when they arrived, I said, I haven't got time, we'll do it later. And they never did it. Imagine that was quite hard to deal with. However, they got on 2 or 3 weeks into the job. On the 4th week, an area manager came in, and their conversations never happened. They weren't aware. And they felt that Axel was wearing some inappropriate clothing. Now, quite easy to understand how an autistic person would not understand the norms for what the clothing were. And it was certainly nothing outlandish, but didn't fit exactly what everybody else was wearing. And they were completely balled out for that situation, and they couldn't cope with it. Public humiliation, and they left their job. And it took another year to get the courage to go back again.
Right.
That could so easily be stopped. And I looked and said, could that happen in our business? It could. I'll do everything I can to stop that happening. But for me, that's where we can all make a difference. Very, very simple support pieces. It's not anything really, really complex for many, many people. It's just simple things that understand what it takes to support people in the environment. So, yeah, it makes me really passionate, and it makes me so pleased, excited and grateful about what you are setting out to do through neurodiversity in business. So thank you.
Thank you again, Alistair. Thank you, McDonald's, and thank you to all of the large volume of corporate members within NIB, our community partners, and our thousands of neurodivergent employees and potential employees who are members. I think we're on a good path, and rest assured we'll continue working hard for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. See you later.